Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Bbpa's Ask a Professional series. This series provides ongoing dialogue and consultation with diverse industry experts to better equip you with the knowledge and tools for success. Today's session will be Rise Up, challenging Black women to rise up, featuring the winners of the Rise Up pitch competition. These women have made it through a tough competition of 700 women entrepreneurs across Canada. I'm Stephanie Day, Director of Research Partnerships at Diversity Institute, and I'm so pleased to be here with you today. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am calling in from the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, which is now home to many diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Let's take a moment to recognize the many traditional lands on which we are connecting and acknowledge with gratitude and respect the many First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and Inuit people whose footsteps were first to mark these lands. The Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, or WEC as we call it, works across the country through 10 regional hubs in English and French to share research and resources for women entrepreneurs in Canada. Drawing on the expertise of a network that includes more than 250 organizations, we also host and support programming that highlights opportunities and best practices for women entrepreneurs and the organizations that support them, like Bbpa's Ask a Professional series. So let's get started. Today, our panel will be moderated by Dr. Wendy Sukier, founder of Diversity Institute, WEC's academic director, and professor at the Ted Rogers School of Management. I will also be helping out with moderation. And before we start, I'll just give a quick word to Nadine Spencer, president of the Bbpa.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Stephanie, it's always a pleasure to work with you. You're one of the dynamic Black women that whenever I am paired with, I'm always very thrilled because you're absolutely brilliant. I was reading your info and there was a lot of things I didn't know about you, quite accomplished, and you're so humble. But it's always a pleasure to work with you. And of course, Dr. Wendy Sukier is here, another dynamic woman that I absolutely love to work with. As you know, I talk a lot about allyship and friendship and sponsorship and support for Black women. And, Wendy's one of these people that, you can call late at night. I know, Wendy, I shouldn't say that because you probably don't want people to know that. But the point is that she's always there. I've had challenges in needing mentorship and all of that. And she's somebody that I can count on and I can call on. And she will tell me if I'm off course, if I'm on course, what I need to do. And when we think about, dare to challenge, we have to dare to challenge ourselves that it is okay to ask for help. Sometimes I think one of the biggest challenges we have as women, as Black women, is we're so tasked with getting it right all the time. We don't think that we can reach out for help, but it is always great to have that individual that you can count on, that person who's going to tell you the right, the wrong, and put you on the path to where you need to go to support your goals. And that's what this initiative is about. When we thought of what this initiative would have meant, 700 women across the country joined and supported. And the 700 women are winners because we are offering support, coaching, mentorship programs that's going to advance and help all of us to rise up. And so it's so important that together we're here in the spirit of friendship, camaraderie, and we look and lean to each other for mentorship. And I want to thank you for being on this journey with us. As you know, my own journey as an entrepreneur started when I was 12 years old. As a Black woman at the time, I didn't know that I was a businesswoman, but I used the resources to buy and sell and negotiate and enable an economic path for myself at the age of 12 based on being an entrepreneur. And for that reason, sitting in the chair as president of the Bbpa, I champion and support women entrepreneurs, Black women entrepreneurs, because I know that it is a strong and solid future. However, I also know that on this journey, on this path we're on, we need each other. We need support, we need resources, we need what I call the nuanced tools of businesses that we don't know. We start a business because we're good at something, and you've all started a business, you're great at something. But what we've learned over the many years and through the Rise Up Pitch competition is that we need the business plans, we need the marketing, we need all of those supports. And more than ever, we need each other. We need each other. And we have to sort of be okay with letting our guard down and say, hey, I need your help. So what I dare us to challenge and what I choose to challenge is the continued spirit of working, growing, building, and thriving together, and reaching out and asking for help, and doing it without any thought of repercussions that, you know, you're being perceived as weak, or just to reach out. And so the BBPA is here for that. You know, Frances Del Sol, our executive director, she's here to continue the charge. And, you know, we, the BBPA, is here to continue the work, and know that you can always reach out to us and lean on us for any help. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. And we look forward to many more things together in great partnership. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Nadine. And again, you know, so excited to have the finalists for the Rise Up Pitch competition here. I see Dr. Sukir is here now, so we can really kickstart the panel discussion. Wendy, over to you to do a quick intro of our panelists for today.
Thanks so much. Such a pleasure to be included. And again, just adding to the compliments, I have to say that the fact that Nadine can contact me late at night is because she works 24/7. And, you know, as a volunteer for BPPA, she is kind of relentless in her advocacy on behalf of the Black community generally, but Black women in particular. So Nadine, back at you. And of course, Stephanie, who has worked with the Diversity Institute now for over a year, has been a really strong anchor in a number of our different programs, not just the work with Black women entrepreneurs in the Rise Up Pitch competition, but also work that we're doing to try to improve access to racialized people generally and Black people in particular in leadership roles in the private sector, the public sector, and so on. So Stephanie's kind of driving that work as well. But we're here today not to talk about all of us, but to talk about all of you. And so I wanted, the first thing that I will ask everyone to do is introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they did. But I will first give you the list of folks that we have with us today. So Orfani Begon Leroy, who's the founder of Les Poupées d'Or. Yamila Franco, who's the founder of Afro Hub Market and the co-founder of Nyoka Design Labs. Marcia Hebert, maybe, or Hebert, who's the founder and creative director of Eat for Life. That would be my life. Gemenin Jarik Cray, who's the founder and CEO of Redeem Clothing Recycle Inc. And apologies for butchering people's names. I have lived through that. I know how upsetting it is. Miriam Jean-Baptiste, who's the co-founder of LS Creme Liqueur. Abba Mortley, who's the owner of Cher Mere Canada. Ido Dezor, who's a nursing student at Ryerson University, yay. And Andrea Zachary, who's the founder of DEF Events and Beyond. So we've got about 40 minutes to hear firsthand from the award winners and to learn more about their journeys. So I'll start with you, Orfani, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. Is Orfani with us? Perhaps not. So I'm going to have to look at names. Okay, Yamila's here. So Yamila, do you want to kick it off, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be with everyone this morning. So my name is Jamila, Like you mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Nyoka Design Labs and also one of the co-founders of AfroHub Market Space. So um, I'm really grateful to be here today. You know, my experience working in the tech industry, working in finance, working with diverse entrepreneurs, I really see the importance of hosting spaces like this one. With Nyoka Design Labs, we're really focused on designing innovative products that are non-toxic, plastic-free, and that follow a circular economy model. We understand the importance of transitioning to different ways of doing business and innovating as well. Ultimately, our goal is to make science more accessible, to make innovation more accessible for people. And then along the ways in my experience, I've also identified that our communities more specifically need safer spaces. We need the resources. It's like Nadine was talking about, you know, in accessing those business resources. And hence I've expanded to other projects and businesses like Afro Market Space, where we have a global community of Black entrepreneurs. So thank you so much, Wendy, for the introduction. I'm going to pass it over to you as well.
Great, thanks so much. I wonder, Miriam, can you go next?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me as well. I'm Miriam, the co-founder of LS Cream Liqueur, which is a cream liqueur inspired by a recipe from Haiti that is called crémasse. We're actually the first ones to commercialize this product, and we have it on the shelves of the SAQ here in Quebec and also in different markets in the States, in Florida, and New York, and soon entering other markets this summer. So we're very excited about this. And again, Nadine, I think you were spot on the fact that not only as women, but also as Black women, we're really sometimes not drawn to asking for help. And it just reminds me, I posted something on my Instagram page last week in my stories. I asked, what is the hardest thing for you to do? Is it to apologize, to say I love you, or to ask for help? And 97% of the people who responded was asking for help. So this is really important for us to have this type of spaces and just not be afraid of asking for help, because this is where we'll succeed. We're stronger together. So in that sense, this is really why I'm very open to having this discussion, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for having me again.
Thanks so much. And again, apologies for butchering your name. It's on your screen, it's Jerikra is your first name, but on my list, it's your last name. So I will let you introduce yourself.
Sure. So it's actually Ogenemine is my first name, and okay. Jerikra is my last name. But I'm also, you can call me Mimi. It's easier. Everyone calls me Mimi here in Canada. I'm originally Nigerian. I'm the founder and CEO of Redeem Clothing Recycling. We are a for-profit company that provides convenient means to donate your clothing items. We do this using our website, www.redeemclothingrecycling.com. We also offer rewards for donating with us. We provide the rewards by partnering with local businesses here in Ontario, as well as we offer free delivery for pickup service for your recyclable items. I'm happy to be here today and honored to be part of these amazing women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So is it Ogenmini?
Ogenmini.
Ogenmini, okay. So Abba, I think we did not hear from you yet.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And I'm Abba, and I'm the owner of Shamea. My family, we've been making products in the Caribbean for hair, skin, body over 35 years. And I have 2 locations in Kingston, Ontario. And now we're just really looking to getting the products mainstream and marketing to all throughout Canada. I am happy to be here today because, again, I'm going to just, resonate what everyone else has said in terms of, feeling that sometimes you're an island to yourself as a Black woman. And sometimes you feel that you don't know who to reach out to, or you feel that it's a sign of weakness because you are rock, And so just having this opportunity to speak and to share and to let other people know that we are all in this together. We are in a journey, that there is a network of people that you can tap into. It is okay to ask for help, because that's how you step forward. You know, we're not an island to ourselves. And in order to help each other, we have to network and help each other all collectively rise up. So happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. And over to Ido from Ryerson.
Hi there, it's pronounced Edo.
Edo, thanks.
So Edo, I'm the founder of Nige Hair. It's an online hair extensions brand that connects Black women to a curated stylist near them. I started this 2 years ago when I was in my second year of university. Now we scaled the operations, scaled the business, and we're currently in our growth phase. One thing about our business is we partner with stylists, independent Black stylists, and we leverage their communities to promote our brand. And we also help to increase their bottom line while connecting them to their ideal customer who are buying our hair extensions and then needing somebody to install it for them. We also focus on community efforts. So this year we were able to help over 300 Black families in the GTA. Or last year, sorry, during COVID with relief packages. And yeah, we're just really focused on the Black community and lifting up other Black women.
Great, thank you so much. And I think last on the list is Marcia from Eat for Life.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I am Marcia Ebert or Ebert from Eat for Life by Marcia. We are located, our head office, we're here in Calgary, Alberta. And our company, what we do is we create nutritious, gluten-free and dairy-free snack and recipes, nutritious, gluten-free, dairy-free recipes made from wholesome ingredients, where our focus is on people with food intolerances, diet-related diseases, and just people who want to be healthy. I mean, now is the time to do that. And I'm a snack lover, and what I found is that I couldn't have my cookies, cakes, muffins, and being that I'm dairy and gluten-free, so I couldn't have those options. So I just created Eat for Life just to basically to fuel my snacking needs. And then it became such a big hit. We found that a lot of people wanted more. They wanted us to make the cookies, they wanted us to make the cakes. And then I thought the next best thing because of the pandemic was to have the ingredients, pack it up, which we call our Snackalicious pack, where they get full-size ingredients along with recipes. And then the other thing that we're looking at right now is we're creating our own bars and cookies. So that's in the works right now. And I just want to say, I'm thankful to be here. And one of the biggest things, I agree with Nadine and everyone here, is that we need to work together as women, as Black women, as entrepreneurs. And so for me, it was like not finding, I did ask many times, but not having the mentor or the people to help. And so along the way, I decided to create the Facebook group, which everywhere I went or whatever I do, any resources that can help, I just put it in my Facebook group to let people know, those who are scared to ask, there is help out there. And I created the Facebook group. So anyone who's interested in more resources and to work together, I am available. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you. Put it back to you.
Thanks so much. So I guess the next question, and we'll just go around the room, virtual room again, is you know, the research is really clear. The research that Nadine has done, the research that the Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub has done, and the research just based on the women who applied for the Rise Up Challenge, that women face structural barriers with COVID. Those have been amplified. The crushing burden of unpaid work is massive. And the evidence is also absolutely clear that Black women face more barriers. And, you know, Nadine's research showed, for example, that Black-owned businesses are twice as likely to be negatively impacted by COVID and half as likely to have access to supports and resources and so on. So one of the things that I would really like to explore with all of you is, you made it in spite of those barriers, or you're on the road to making it. So what were some of the key things that helped you get this far on the one hand, and what is it you need to get to the next level? And maybe I'll start again with Yamila.
Yeah, Wendy, I have a question. I just lost the internet for a little bit there. Can you please repeat it?
Oh,
Or
sure.
remind me?
Just you've succeeded in spite of the barriers. So what
Yeah.
are some of the challenges you face, but more importantly, what are some of the things that helped you get where you are, and what do you need to go further?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to start with a main barrier. I would say the lack of belonging. And that's so interesting. I bring that up because running a business is already tough on its own. The fact that we have to, not just build the business skills, but build ourselves to a certain mindset to see beyond the wall of what we believe to be possible. If we can't imagine us getting to 100,000, it will be even harder to get to 500,000 to 1 million or even get to our original goal. So there's already inherent barriers with doing business. It's tough. It is mentally exhausting. It is draining, especially when you're starting to set foundations and layers. But on top of that, you can add the experience of being a Black woman. And that's where I think it's sometimes I feel angry. I'm like, why am I experiencing this when I should be worrying about building a business? I shouldn't be worrying about racism or about, how people are going to react to the way I talk. And so to me, it was more of that barrier of understanding how to navigate different cultures and what I like to call knowing how to play the game. To understand where people are to meet them so I can get what I need to move my business forward. So that has been the whole process in that part. That's the barriers. What has really helped me though is that in doing so, I found many key people that put their time, put their effort, their experience on the line to support me and to be able to, show me a path in navigating a lot of these industries or spaces that are not led by people that look or think or even speak like us. And partly again is like the tango dance is we need to understand how we move is, if I wanted to enter a new market, because I'm going outside of this country, that's great. I need to understand how that market works. But I think a barrier is that whereas most people will feel comfortable entering the Canadian market because they're already here, for us, we need to even understand how we enter this primary market. And it's finding those people that have come through mentorship, through advisors, through organizations that have just been like, I'm going to sit down with you and I'm going to explain this to you. I'm going to teach you. I'll do introductions and I'll support you. Because it's not like we can do it. We just need that extra hand or we need to be shown that path, but we can do it. We're trailblazers. Not good.
Sorry.
You are muted.
Next, can you answer the question? So what are some of the barriers you face? What are some of the things that helped you get over, around, or through them? And what do you need going forward?
Thank you. And so I guess similar to what Yumila was saying, I think the barriers, I think I am my worst barrier in that, I have these lofty goals and I want to prove to people. So maybe it's an inherent thing that, as a Black woman, that I want to prove that I can do it, that not only can I do it, I can excel in it and I'm the best at it. And so I think the challenge is that, just to network and to build a community. So similar to Yumila, I found what really helped me is to integrate myself into the community that I am in and what it is that I wanted to do. And so being an active member of the chamber on different facilities within the community, but also through volunteering. I do a lot of stuff with United Way and Youth Diversion and building that sense of community and kind of social integrity that I think people respect and then building the business on that. But again, what are other barriers? So for example, we are looking to move to manufacture our products in Canada versus in the Caribbean. And so even that in itself, where do I go? Where do I start? What are the little barriers? And yes, I can build on those contacts and those nuances, but there isn't anybody in my specific community that I can say, all right, so where did you go for X, Y, and Z? And how can I get that? So I feel that it's a very disjointed journey in that I'm trying to get all those pieces and facts together so that I can go to the next level and take that there. And so just working through that, but just being mindful and reaching out and asking for help and knowing that it's okay to have moments of like a bit of despair, but knowing that the end vision and value is there and that I will get there and just continue to move forward. It's a long game and just building up those things to get to that end.
Great answer. What about you, Marcia?
So a barrier for me was financially, because there's many barriers, but one of the biggest thing for me was finance. I come from a corporate background, so I'm familiar with knowing a little bit of everything. So I know what I needed, know what I wanted, and know who to talk to. But the biggest thing was the financial part of it to get my company to the market faster. I was introducing a new product, a product that have never been done before, the idea have never been started before. And so I wanted to make sure that I have the financial means that when I do go to the market, I can then just maximize on that. So financially, yes. And then what resolved that was entering into the Rise Up competition. How I found out about that was through the Canadian Women in Food. One of the biggest things to overcome some barriers, I looked at what I needed to do, and I became a member of the Canadian Women in Food. Through the Canadian Women in Food, I found out about the Rise Up pitch through some other ladies as well. I immediately applied, and then I just made sure that I did all I needed to do to make sure that I was able to win the competition so I could have the financial to help with my marketing. And then for me, looking forward, what do I need? I think mentors. The Startup Canada opened up in March, mentor free so people have access. And that was a game changer for me. So because of my I'm always planning and strategically thinking and everything, I think having mentor where I want to be would be awesome. That for me, looking forward would be great. Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks so much. And Mina, how about you?
Oh, that was really good. So for me, as a Nigerian, as an immigrant, I think for me, also just to touch on what Masha said, it will be financial barriers. I find that most of the financial support we get towards, Canadian citizens or permanent residents, and I'm not one yet. So it was kind of difficult for me to get those resources because I'm not particularly, I'm still an immigrant. And honestly, how I am a graduate of the Queen's Master's Program. So how I found out about the Rise Up competition was through alumni. So that's how I was able to participate in the Rise Up Pitch competition, and I ensured that to me, initially for me, it was just a platform to, get my company out there, to let people know that there was a company like this in Canada, and being able to win was just an icing on the cake. And also what I need, I think all the women that have spoken before me sort of have mentioned it, mentorship. I'm new in this area that I just started in. It will be great to have mentors who have similar, understanding of the market, of the Canadian market, to sort of help me grow and grow the business as well. I will also think that a curated, support or some sort of directory for, women to go to in terms of if you're doing an export and import business, who would I reach out to? If it's cosmetic, is it fashion? What are some of the mentors we could, what are some of the support that we could get? I don't think, I didn't know anything about the Rise Up competition before I applied. And it was a Queen's alum who sent me the link, and she particularly asked me to apply. So I wasn't aware of this. So I think that a lot of women and Black women could benefit from, knowing more about the brand, knowing more about necessary support systems that are available for us, so that we can reach out and grow as well.
Well, and I think that's such an important area. And of course, Nadine and the Bbpa and other organizations are trying to better provide access to mentoring and support and so on. The Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub actually has an Ask Give platform where you can go on and ask for what you need, and people go on and offer to help. And what we find with women, they're really good at offering to help. They're not so good at making demands and asking. So maybe Stephanie can post that in the chat for folks who need specific help. But that's one of the things we're trying to collaborate with Bbpa and Deciduous Women and Castle Foundation and a lot of the other organizations to aggregate I think that was the word you used, the resources, because we find that there's stuff there, but figuring out which door to go in and how to get where you need to go is often tough. And getting connected with the right people who really understand the particular challenges that you're facing in the particular market and so on is absolutely fundamental. So I'll go to you, Miriam, I think is next on my list.
Sure. What I found was really challenging for us was the lack of understanding of our reality, because as Black founders who are operating in a really hard industry, such as the alcohol industry, it's really regulated and it's really white male dominated. So the fact that they not necessarily always understood or where we came from, our colleagues or our competitors who, let's say, are white, usually they start with an average of $500,000 of capital to start their businesses, right? Whereas for the Black community, it's really rare that we start with that much capital in our hands. So the fact that sometimes it was really hard for them to understand, okay, well, just go and purchase this or purchase that. And we were like, no, we need another type of capital. And, you know, to get funding from banks and all of that, it's really harder for us. So I think what could be very great is, again, like mentorship is key. Had we known, we would not have started this business with our own dollars and, you know, putting a mortgage on our house or things like that. We would have went to the bank. We were in a position to have that type of capital and funding. So we would have went to the bank and, you know, asked for this type of capital. So I think it is key. I think that also to have international mentors, not only mentors that are from Canada, but also in the States. We know that we live in Canada and a lot of things that we do is based on what, you know, people are doing in the States and all of that. So for us, what I found was really helpful was when we got in touch with these mentors in the US who guided us through, you know, these markets and all of that. So mentorship is key. And again, we didn't know about the Rise Up. Like, thank God, like that somebody talked to me about it. But I think I'm the only one from Quebec that's actually like on this panel, right? So it's difficult to have the information, and I think to, like you said, to put everything together and make it more accessible will give us very much more opportunities to start well, and so that we can make sure that we also grow accordingly, right? So that would be my 2 cents.
And exporting is so important. I mean, there are two things. One of the things is that women now have bridged the gap with men and export almost at the same rate. But newcomer women and women who have international experience are more likely to be able to export. And so there are programs, you know, Export Canada gives money to help businesses export, but lots of people don't know about them and don't know how to find their way through, or even, you know, the application processes can be really daunting. So that's another thing that we're working together on. And Edo, the last comment to you.
So I think I just piggybacking off what other people said, funding. When I started, I was like in second year of university, and I'm in nursing, so we had like clinical placements, and then I had work and stuff. So accessing funding was difficult. But what I did is I just like started with what I had and then just piggyback off of that and kept on going and going. But I feel like with barriers comes strategy. Like you learn how to strategically navigate these things, and it's something that you can leverage in the future. So although like it is like barriers are significantly challenging, there's always that side that thing that you can kind of gain from it. In terms of another thing was expertise, similar to what other people said. Expertise, kind of getting people who were in e-commerce to help. But what I did is Google has all the expertise that you need. And I just Googled everything and used Shopify and just learned with what I had. And then in terms of supply chain in the hair extensions industry is notably extremely difficult. Still this day, I still haven't mastered it, but kind of learning from mistakes, leveraging off of, YouTube, what people have learned about supply chain and going through that. So I would say that funding as well as expertise and supply chain have been significant barriers.
Thanks very much. And I'm just curious, like you're at Ryerson. Ryerson's supposed to have all these resources for entrepreneurs. Did you not find those useful or accessible or what?
Yeah, no, definitely. In my third year of university is when I had found the Fashion Zone, which is one of the incubators at Ryerson. I'm a part of the Fashion Zone right now. And actually sorry, my neighbors are doing construction. One of the emails that they sent out, the newsletters, they actually had like at the very bottom, it was like rise up pitch competition. And, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I clicked it and then I saw the whole thing. And that was, so obviously like when you leverage these things around you, you can really gain a lot. And also there was the funding through the Fashion Zone and through the other zones that I was able to get. But of course, like without that initial find of the Fashion Zone, all of these things would not have trickled down and happened. So again, it's like nobody told me to go. Obviously, nobody told me to go. This is where you go for entrepreneurship. It was me Googling. So Google.
Mr. Google or Ms. Google, whatever you prefer. Yeah, it's really important. But you raise a really important point, and I wonder if others can pitch in on this. Like, what do you know now that you wish you'd known at the beginning that you want to share with the other startups on the call? Marcia?
What do I know now that I want to share?
That you wish you'd known when you started, like what would, because often you find things out through trial and error. And if someone just said at the beginning, do this, it would have made a difference.
Yeah, I think for me is the mentorship, like the startup woman really opened my eyes because I've always wanted that, but didn't know where to go. So when the woman march came along and everything was woman, 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 I keep my eyes open. I clicked everything because basically, so I wish what I knew was just to be in the game with, anything the government offered or any events or things like that. It's there. So to me, that's, yeah. So going forward, I tell people like, always search for events, search for that are going on, women entrepreneur, anything that's within your area, search for it. Because again, I agree, Google and YouTube and events. I always search free events because some events are too expensive. So I'm always searching free events, business events, entrepreneur events, women events. And that's for me was keep looking for things that are related to you, and you will find information that take you to the next step, the next step, the next step.
Fantastic. Yamala?
Honestly, when I'm thinking about all of this great answers, I want to bring the attention to something as all of you were about interpersonal relations and how sometimes it can be so tough, bringing our own culture, our own different worldviews, which honestly, when you look at the business case for diversity, it's only an asset. It's a great thing for a company and for a business, for a society, a community to bring different ways of solving problems. However, I've experienced a lot of crash in terms of my mindset and worldview, even when working with other founders, with organizations, and that has been super tough. But when I think about the main thing, when I think about tips, I think it's going down to basics and remembering that when it comes to business, it is about relationships. It's about the relationship we form with the people who might open the door to us. It's about sometimes us just taking things in and choosing what to focus or what to not focus on, because sometimes things can be so challenging in business. So if I think about tips or, strategies, I always like to remind myself we're all human. We're all working with people. Yes, education information is always there. We can always Google. There's so many resources out there. But what's really going to help us build a business, build systems, is how good can we work with people? And how open can we be to also include other people in what we are creating? And in that change, in that movement, in that impact. And that has been a tougher process for me, but I had to disassociate myself from my business. As we expanded our team, we were hiring, I realized that every person that's in my team now takes the business and it's like their little baby, and they're doing their projects and their work, but that really helps us expand our impact. And I think we really come from a place of fear, of course. Like, I'm afraid that somebody's going to try and do something sneaky on me in business, but there's that human level of trust that is also a leap. I'm not gonna say a leap of faith. But that's my main thing is, remember, we work with people, and there's the basic part of working with people, which is building trust, building relationships, and aligning people to work towards the same vision.
Thank you so much. Well said. What about you, Abba?
Yeah, I don't have very much to add to that. I think, Marsha and Yamila kind of captured everything there. I think I'm just going to reiterate it. I think that yes, there's the Google and yes, there's everything else, but really what has made a difference is contacts, just being part of a community and building those relationships that lead to other things and putting it out there. There's one thing to have the contact, but it's also another thing to communicate what it is that you would like to do and to communicate where you'd like to go. Because when you say that to someone, you don't know that ripple effect that it could happen. And so just telling your message and your intent of what it is that you're looking for and ask for help. And that one person could refer you to somebody else, and then following up, so, making sure that if this is what you want to do, that not only do you make the connection, you make people aware, but then the third part of it is to continually follow up and ask, well, do you know anybody else in this sector? Get as much information, because there's a ripple effect that will help you to build the momentum and build the resources. And so, for example, I'm just going to take it back a second to talk about Rise Up. I heard about it from 5 different people because of all the different organizations. So someone from Queen sent it, someone from the Chamber sent it, somebody else from Toronto randomly sent it that they saw it. So I think the more people that you could interact with and the more networks that you could get in, and if people know your intention and what it is you're trying to do, they will send things your way. They're like, oh yeah, I remember Abba had this discussion, and it will come to you. So just making sure to make that circular connection with everyone. So
really good points. What about you, Miriam?
I think, first of all, in our case, we're the only Black-owned product on the shelf of the SAQ, which is the liquor board here in Quebec. So it was what I think I would have done differently is really not to accept the status quo or accepting the no's that we got at the beginning, and even the resistance, because going to some stores, some of these locations were telling us, we don't have the type of clientele here. And so what's the clientele? Is it because I'm a Black-owned product that my product is only for Black people? And to have them say it. So what happened is that we actually step it up another level and went to the SAQ and brought up that situation that we had faced in different markets and in different stores. And now they're actually educating more their staff. They're building a diversity again, another team. So I think not accepting the status quo and really not accepting the no's is major. And of course, when you're starting, you're always a bit shy and you're not sure of yourself. But had I known, I would have always said, okay, no, and pushed it a little bit further before instead of just waiting and then bursting, So I think that's really the thing I would suggest. And again, the capital, knowing really where to get your funding would have been major for us.
Really, really interesting. And I would say, we've talked about challenges and barriers. We've talked about being women, being Black women, and I would say being a Black woman in Quebec, a whole nother game. So, yeah. So that's really interesting. And Mine, how about you?
I think for me, just to touch on what everyone has said so far, yes, Google is your best friend. Also, I think that for me, how I got to know about the rise of competition was through connections, through my Queen's alum, family. So I was able to apply for the rise of competition. Also, winning the competition, I have been opened up to a lot of associations and groups that I wasn't aware of, and I'm really appreciative of that. I'm just gonna name a few that I found out: the Black Business Professional Association, Startup Canada Vancouver, the Women Entrepreneurship Startup Hub, Fembot, which is the Women Accelerator and Online Directory. I never knew about this, groups or associations before winning the Rise Up pitch competition. So these are some of the things I wish I knew earlier starting on starting my business, because I think that I would have gotten a lot of mentorship and support even before starting or while in the process. But I'm honestly really glad that I know about them now, because it definitely been a great experience, and also an experience to grow as well and get to know more women. When you hear other stories and hear about women, breaking barriers, it is a great booster for you and morale as well. So it has been a great opportunity to be part of.
That's great. And Etta, we started with you. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Not really. I think that I don't know what exactly I would have changed. Definitely have made hundreds, if not thousands, of mistakes along the way, if not millions. But I I think that all these mistakes, they all lead to something and they all get you closer. So I don't know what exactly I've changed, because like with everything that I've messed up on, I learned something new. Maybe branding. If I could solidify a brand early on, definitely, but nothing else that I can really touch upon.
That's great. Well, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I know that there may be other questions either in the audience or Nadine and Stephanie, who lived through this journey with you, along with Fran and others, may have things that they would like to add or get you to talk about. So at this point,
I
open it up.
Yeah, thanks so much, Wendy. To that question about what would you do differently, I think, for me in my entrepreneurial journey, and I still struggle with that, I would, perfection's overrated. Many of you said that you got the information and you just went. Mimi, you said you got it and you just submitted and you went. And I think, what I advise entrepreneurs to do is there's no perfect time. The perfect time is the moment you decide. The moment you decide, whatever it looks like, you move ahead, because no matter what happens, you'll win. You'll win like you've won, or you'll learn. And in the learning of what's missing, you'll still win. And so don't wait for the perfect, just you have a great idea, just move forward. Everything will align itself if you're on the path.
And I just want to add one point to that, Nadine, because I think women in general worry too much about being perfect. And whether it's, one of the biggest struggles during the pandemic is trying to juggle, our businesses with our lives, with caregiving and so on. And just being prepared not to be perfect at everything, I think lifts an enormous burden that women carry around with them. And that for me is the idea that you don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good enough or paralyze you because you're not everything to everybody, is something that's really important to women. And I'll turn it to Stephanie to see if she'd like to add her insights, given everything that she juggles in her life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I know Wendy also has a quote that I always think about, and I may get it wrong, but I know the gist of it, which is don't let perfection be the enemy of good, which is basically when she says it, she's like, let's just move it forward. And I think people I work with also know I'm constantly saying like, let's keep moving, like, let's push it forward. And I think as Black women, there's, of course, the concern about being women and some of the challenges that we face, but then also, you know, the issues with systemic racism and how we can be perceived as Black women. So we want to make sure that we send it out and we send it out good, but definitely, or we send it out well, but definitely, I mean, you have to just push forward. My husband runs a business. He's been doing it for 11 years and I've seen him doing that, you know, and he just doesn't stop. And I think that's probably where I also picked up some of my work ethic, just like Nadine and just like Wendy and just like the Rise Up winners, where you're in go mode and, you know, you don't stop. So I think this has been a really fantastic conversation. Huge congratulations to the winners. You guys have done a fantastic, like a phenomenal job. I'm really encouraged also by the conversation because we see that the network is working. So many times we heard in conversation how people heard about the Rise Up Pitch competition and how by participating in that, you were introduced to other networks and new opportunities. And it's sort of like, you know, the world is expanding and the ecosystem is growing. And one of the challenges that we spoke about when we launched WEC was, you know, issues with fragmentation. And we see part of the role of WEC is to cut down on that fragmentation, to make sure that we're sharing resources equally and that everybody has access to those resources and the networks and the opportunities. So I think that's a huge win for us. And I really applaud the Rise Up winners. And I encourage you to continue to share your stories because like we said, with the See It, Be It, that's how we're going to encourage more people. We're going to encourage more Black women to think about entrepreneurship. So you're a fantastic example and just well done. So a huge thanks to everybody. A big thanks to Bbpa for all the work that you're doing to support Black women entrepreneurs. And I want to also make sure we have time for Frances. Frances has an announcement to make, so I'll just quickly hand over to her.
It's the new Webster's Dictionary phrase for 2021. I'm on mute. Thank you, Wendy and Stephanie and the team at Ryerson for, you know, just recognizing the amplification of the barriers that Black women face and coming to the table and helping us resolve those. So for the boss women on the team today that, you know, made it through a team of 700 plus, you are awesome. And everybody who's tuned in today to learn from them, you are just as bad. So we are doing something great today. So we, you know, lunch is on us today because we at the Bbpa, we have a policy of supporting Black-owned businesses. So we want to support Black-owned restaurants and they will deliver in the GTA. So if you're in the GTA, lunch is on us. And in doing so, we support Black-owned restaurants and we support Black-owned delivery services. If not us, whom? So I'm happy to tell you that you won't be going hungry for lunch. So we'll take care of that. And Nadine, I'm not quite sure how you want us to.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if you send your, we'll take everyone's name who was registered in the chat today on the list, and we'll send you the link to the caterers from across the city, and not just the caterers, but it's also the delivery service as well. And you too, Wendy, absolutely. Everybody gets lunch today.
Of course, Wendy, you're a boss woman. You're the boss woman.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Frances. That's awesome.
Thank you. Who's next?
Amazing. So I just want to confirm that there were no other questions from those who are joining us today before we close for today. If anyone has a question, you're welcome to, you can put your hand up or put it in the chat box for any of the panelists.
Or maybe you could even just read out some of the, do you want me to help you with that, Stephanie? Just to read out some of the things in the chat. Sure. So congratulations, great job from Pauline Christian, our immediate past president who's here. Hey, Pauline. Inspired by your car gal, Claudia. We do have Tanya. Tanya, thanks so much for being here, who says that mental health and wellness is also important. You have to take care of yourself too, because easy burnout, juggling so many roles is tough, and congratulations to the group. these locations are very good, hard to convince. We're currently right now. Quebec is coming in. Yeah, someone just making a comment. Just all loves and great things. So thank you everyone for your comments.
I think there's a question.
Oh, there is. Oh, I didn't see it.
Someone asked, how can you make your application stand out? How do you make your application stand out? Francesca Sauer.
Okay, so that's a good question. How do you make your application stand out? Wendy, do you want to answer that one?
You know, I have to acknowledge that a lot of processes, whether we're talking about access to grants or competitions, reward good proposal writing. So you can have an amazing idea, you can have a fantastic business model, but if you don't figure out how to put it down on paper, you will not be successful. And, you know, there's one of the things, Nadine, at some point, maybe we should think about doing just a proposal writing workshop. One of the key things is look carefully at what they're asking for. I can't tell you how often people don't do that, is look really carefully at what the question is. And this is not just business people who don't do it. It's, you know, people with PhDs writing grants. Try to figure out, you know, we used to do this when we were prepping for tests, right? Try to figure out what they're looking for. What are the criteria? How can I tell my story, not in the way that I would tell my story, but in a way that really hits the buttons that they're looking for. So, you know, I wasn't involved in the judging of this particular competition, but I can tell you that, you know, when you got 700 applications, the amount of time that the judges are going to spend on your particular application is not long enough to try to reframe and unpack and reorganize your ideas. So the more that you can put your ideas down in a way that really maps to what they're looking for, the better your chances are. And I think that, you know, in the current environment, what is it that's innovative about what you're doing, and how is it going to make money? Those are the two things that, you know, generally people are looking for in business plans, because often women in particular have great ideas, but don't pay enough attention to that fundamental question, you know, how much am I going to charge for it? Who's going to pay for it? And how much money is it going to produce? And that's a question the banks want to know. That's a question any kind of investor wants to know. And that's a question you should be able to answer yourself, because often women underprice their products. They undervalue their time. And as a result, they don't come up with a financial model that's sustainable.
Can I add to that? I think like definitely the mention of the grant proposal workshop is really important, just because of the disproportional access to like higher education in racialized groups, and also just the different just the inequities that exist in writing. And I know that a lot of the applicants, let's say outside of this BBPA sphere, and like definitely government grants, they have a lot of them do outsource, or they have the financial means to outsource like grant writing and stuff. So like definitely just honing down on the Black community and making these grant proposal workshops accessible is really important, just because I know in even one grant, I looked at the data, and less than 2%, it was like a women's grant, some kind of government grant, less than 2% of the applicants, of the successful applicants were Black, despite Black women being the most entrepreneurial demographic.
Yeah, no, I think it's as I said, a lot of processes reward good grant writing. And one of the things that I know some agencies are doing in dealing with Indigenous women that we have recommended they consider is, instead of forcing them to write like 20-page grant applications, let them do videos, you know, so tell your story in your own way as opposed to checking all the boxes. And, you know, the point that you raise is really important, because we know, for example, among the women who applied for the Rise Up competition, there was a disproportionate number who had post-secondary education, which suggests that a lot, you know, to your point, a lot of other women didn't even feel they could get in the door or bother writing the application because of the focus on literacy and just knowing how to put the stuff together. So I think that's something that we need to really think about with Nadine, and it's something that we've done with lots of other businesses in trying to get access to research funding and so on. So no reason why we can't do it for this as well. Great comment.
Yeah, so just before Stephanie does the final wrap up, I just again want to thank you, Wendy, for being here. Thanks for always showing up and all the support that you provide and we do in this partnership together. Really appreciate it. Thank you to all the women. Know that your entrepreneurial journey in terms of the partnership with Rise Up, the BBPA and WEC does not end. Now I want us to continue, and as we go forth, it's always, you know, our ED Francis Del Sol always says, you know, we want to reach back also and bring others forward. I think that's an important part. When we talk about networking, and that's really what it is, and mentorship, it's important to sort of reach back and bring others forward. But we continue to do more research because it is one of the things that's missing. There's not enough for Black women, and the only way we're going to get to true solutions is to continue to look at where the gaps are and what's missing, and we do that through research, which I'm very proud to do that together with WEC. And Stephanie, it's always a privilege to work with you in any and every capacity. You are a dynamic, brilliant woman. You're so supportive. You really are an example of what it is to work with someone in the spirit of true allyship and friendship and partnership. So thank you so much for all you do. And to all the women, congratulations and thank you so much for being who you are. And, you know, we challenge you to continue to do more, go farther. And I like that expression, go mode, to be in go mode. I want to see more of the go mode. So thank you.